Hello there, and welcome back to my next episode on the Welsknight Patreon server. This is Mar, and we are working on the bass again. I did quite a bit of work off camera between episodes, and I've been working on the lighting of the bass, trying to get away from all the torch spam that we've been dealing with recently. So I used to have torch spam pretty much everywhere inside the bass. Most of it down on the lower levels has been swapped out for hidden lighting. Some of it's just hidden underneath carpets in places where I can. Other parts get a little more tricky because there are sections where the ceiling is both the ceiling of one room and the floor of another room. So yeah, you could put your hidden lighting like right here, but then what if this is the ceiling of the room below it? Then you have, you know, a sea lantern sticking through your ceiling, and that doesn't look good. So I've been doing my best though to put in lighting where I can. This main floor is completely done. If we come upstairs though, you start seeing more torch spam eventually. This room is good. It's a little weird looking. I've been going with these. I can't do one there because that's if I remember correctly, that's the bottom side of a stair block, I think. I don't remember exactly, but this is one style I've been going with. It's not, I guess I wouldn't say it's like the permanent version of this, but the leaf columns, we're going to come back to that. So just for now, I do have leaf columns around the base. I'm thinking we can give it a little more character later on, but for now it's just this. This room in particular, this is on both sides of the base, of course, because the base is a mirror image. This is the last room on this floor that I have not managed to light up. This corner right here without this torch gets pretty dark. Unfortunately, this entire floor section is the ceiling of the floor below it, and it's like smack dab in the middle of like a hallway or something like that. So like absolutely horrible with a column of leaves just coming right down on top of it, or right down the middle of it. And then the ceiling up here is the floor for part of the outside of the base, and it wouldn't look right there either. So I've yet to figure out what to do here. I'm thinking what I may end up having to do is just decorate the room and somehow incorporate a torch in as part of the design, I guess. If we go up the stairs here, I mean, it doesn't really matter which set of stairs we use. This pops us out in the library, which was already lit up with the hidden carpet underneath the hidden lighting underneath the carpet trick. These hallways, however, are not. Both those hallways and this like halfway point hallway. There's nothing, you know, on this part that leads anywhere. It's just between that level and this level up here. So these ones are not lit yet. Part of the problem is because this is slabs, and like I said, it's the ceiling for the floor below it. So I'm not sure what I'll do here. I'll probably just have to play around with it some more and try and come up with something. If we come up these stairs here, this is still all torch spam. I haven't touched anything above this point at all. So there's not much point in going up there then. Out here, I did make one pretty significant change. I used the good old-fashioned item frame, fence, and torch trick, where you put an item frame down, you put the fence in the item frame, and then you very carefully click the edge of the block to add a torch. And just as a cool lighting trick, I'm sure many of you have used it or heard of it. Downside is item frames count as entities, and I didn't know that at the time, or I didn't realize, I guess, how many I had. So on my own, I decided, you know what, just to kind of trim down on how many entities I have on my base, because I have no idea how many I have, I decided to take all of those light types out, and we will be trying to avoid them if at all possible. And again, I still don't know how many entities I have. I know I still have some item frames up here for my memory wall up here. If we take a look, so we've got these right here. I think these may be some of the only item frames we have. I think I have a few of them over in the little farmhouse as well, down there. I think I use some down there as well, but we're going to try and avoid that type of lighting going forward. I think we are allowed, I'll probably have to double check the rules, but I think we're allowed 200 entities in our base, like entities that we choose to keep. So a name, any mobs that are name tagged, any villagers, item frames, anything, any other type of block that counts as an entity, we are having to count those towards our entity limit. Now, if you have a mob farm that's constantly killing your mobs, like they're spawning but then they're dying quickly, those don't really count because, I mean, they're dying all the time. So that doesn't really matter so much. But yeah, the entity count is something I have to pay attention to. So I've been working on the lighting there. I've also worked on the towers. I've added the bushy bits. I've added the little fire effect there. Made sure all of them had these columns. I've also done lighting on the inside and on the walkways. Now, as you notice, I've got a lot of torches on posts, but only at certain points. Like you'll notice back there, there's no torches. The interesting thing is the glowstone that we have behind those, the trapdoors on the wall design, that is actually strong enough that I don't have to have any lighting in those sections. The only places on the walls that I need additional lighting is on the diagonal bits here and on the bridges where it goes above these gateways. Those are the only places that I actually need additional lighting, which I think is fantastic. I was afraid I would have to get real creative with the torch spam, but apparently just a couple torches on the posts periodically in those locations is all I need. So I'm really happy with that, really happy. The insides of the towers are all lit up as well. That's where I've been using the leaf column. We can go take a look at that in right now. I like the design. I know where I'm going to go with the design. Right now it just looks like this though. Nothing too fantastic. The idea is ultimately, even with my main base over there, I'm going to have it covered up with vines and whatnot. The challenge though is that I do still want to, like, the long-term plan is to do some texture variation. I don't know how much. I'm thinking I at least want to put in some cracked bricks some places. I don't know whether that's the only block I'll use. Maybe I'll use some of, you know, good old-fashioned andesite or smooth stone for added variation. Of course, we don't have the 1.14 stairs and slabs of all the types, so we're still limited in that regard. But I do intend to do some texture variation, which means there's no point putting down leaves, or I mean vines, because I'll just have to tear them up again anyway. So eventually, if we do get to the point where we do texture variation, I am ultimately going to be covering up a lot of this stuff with vines to make it, to really bring home that overgrown effect. So that's the thing. Let's pop out here and fall really hard because the Electra didn't activate. I am wearing it. Yeah, it's not broken. Okay, whatever. I did work over here towards the market area as well. There's a bit of lag. Come on, don't do that to me. I think I did change the design here for the gateway. I did get some comments on my video as well, and I have looked at them and everything, and I appreciate those comments too. I think the video, what was it, yesterday? I'm all scattered. Today's Sunday, so my most recent video for this series came out just yesterday, and that this episode isn't going to release for another week. Because I try to record on Sunday and then release it the following Saturday, so usually I don't get a chance to get a lot of comments before I'm already working on the next episode. And speaking of the next episode, I have started working on this as well. We've got the stairs that I was talking about. They don't go anywhere yet. They just go to the top and then they just end. I've got a very vanilla tree in, which, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm not too, I mean, I love custom trees, but I'm not good enough with them to do them myself, so I just settle for the good old-fashioned vanilla trees. Very torch spammy still in here. My hope is, because I honestly had been putting off the lighting and like the pillars and all the fancy stuff for the towers for so long because, well, I got carried away and I did a bunch of them. I was like, I don't feel like doing that. And then the longer I put it off, the more towers there were that needed it, and the more of a hassle it was to do them. Well, I finally got myself caught up, so from now on, I'm going to do my best to light it up and decorate it and everything as I go. So once we finish this area, I'm immediately going to do these towers, make sure they're all set, that tower, any other towers that we have. I still need to build that one, of course. And I'm gonna torch spam this, or not torch spam, remove the torch spam and light this area up properly as well. I want to minimize the torch spam as much as possible. Once I finish an area, we're gonna make sure that the lighting is good before we, well, I mean, I will off screen, not really on camera. We don't, that's boring. But that's my goal. I don't want to leave torch spam just all over the place anymore. I did come up with hopefully a better design for the gateway. I think it looks better than the other one. It occurred to me, you know, we don't have to go quite so overboard with that wall design. I don't have to use it everywhere. I tend to be the type of person who finds a pattern and then just reuses that pattern over and over and over again, and it really bothers me when things don't line up or match or whatever. So it can be kind of frustrating for me trying to force myself to step out of my comfort zone and try something new. So I'm trying something new. I hope you like it. I hope it looks. I think it looks a lot better than it did before. So I really hope you guys like it, because I don't want to change it. But yeah, so we've got this going on. I've been working, this hole in the wall here is very temporary. It was just so that I can get in and out from my storage quickly as I'm working. I haven't really done anything on this side other than put up the walls, and this is still very bare. I did start working over here around the iron farm. I think this will probably be the next area once we finish this. That we work on. I have a very similar design in mind for that. In fact, I want this wall here to be shared on both sides, so I'm probably going to bring this all the way flush up over there. I just need to figure out what's going there before I can do that. Let's see, what else have I done between episodes? I don't think anything, actually. I did tweak, I messed up somehow. How did I do that? I don't know. It's kind of sad. This tower here was exactly like the two towers that are on the end of my base over there. In regards, I don't know if you guys even noticed it. I didn't even notice it until I was working on the lighting, and I was like, why isn't this light? It worked for all the other ones, but why is this one got a little bit of spawnable space? And I realized I had done the top, these like crenellation bits, or balcony areas. I had done them slightly different from all the rest of the towers. These two over there and this one were one way, and then all of these ones were another way. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How did I do this so wrong? And I decided, you know, I wanted them to all share a similar theme, but honestly, I would rather have to change 3 of them than have to change all of those. And if I used the design that I originally had, it, like I said, it was still partially spawnable. Oh dear. Oh, I shot you. That's not fair. Go die. Okay, they're all gone. So yeah, I decided to change these 3 and match them to these. I thought they were all dead. Really? I decided to change these 3 to match these ones. Not only will that be less work to change them all, but it'll also make sure that they are spawnable. Because the problem I was running into, if we come up here, by the way, with the lighting, I did a billion different ideas. I even had some people on our Discord trying to help me out. They came up with some really fantastic designs. Downside is that I didn't want a light source that was too overdone, I guess, or something that would get in the way, like cauldrons or hanging chandeliers or something. I wanted something that I could have snugged up against the wall that still did effective lighting, not only for the floor, but also the stairs going up. And there was always like one stair that just was never lit up. This design, however, takes care of that. And the problem that I was having with the original tower design is that this section here on all 4 sides was 1 block further out, and the light sources underneath these carpets is just good enough to fully light up this one here. So I'm at 8. If I come out here, technically it's counting what I'm standing like out, you know, over the air. It'd be 7 instead. So this block is 8, but if it was coming out 1 more block like it was before, it's 7 and thus spawnable. I was not gonna have that. I was like, no, I finally found a light source that worked, and now you're gonna tell me it doesn't work? Not having that. So I switched it out, and I think it's gonna be much better this way. the lighting is more important to me than having this be out 1 block further. It's not necessary, basically. It wasn't necessary. It was part of the design, but it wasn't a critical part of the design. So I think that's all that I worked on. And that was kind of weird. I don't think my lighter made any sound just then. That was kind of bizarre. I want to work on this area still. I want to get this area all done. You kind of got an idea of what I'm going for. This is our wall design, our double tall wall design. I need to do that over here and put in that tower. Since you guys have seen me do these wall designs many times already over in the farming area, I'm going to go ahead and do these off camera. Once I finish these and get this side pretty much up to date with this side, I'll bring you guys back and we can work on whatever we come up with over there. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I have switched over to my testing world. I've been messing around for a couple hours now trying to come up with a decent design that I like for the next section of the build that we're working on. And the more I work on it, the more I start to feel a little overwhelmed with the wall design that we came up with. I just feel like, especially where it's one on top of the other for a long stretch, it just gets to be a bit too much, I think. I'm thinking about swapping out for sections where there's one on top of the other on the outside of the base, like down here is where the water would be. I'm thinking of removing the current design, which is that right there, and putting in something a little more bland, a little more grayscale, and because I feel like this here should be more like the structural support for the walls. Right now, it doesn't really look all that defensible. Not that I'm going for realism per se. I just think that this design here, repeated over and over and over again, is perhaps a bit too much. Whereas if I use this design further up, and maybe I'll switch it and make this the design only for the inside, I don't know, and then have something more along this line, along the line of this, for the outside, I think that might work out better. I just don't know how much sense it makes to have that design everywhere. The downside is I've already done a lot of walling, and so if I do decide to make this change, it's going to be a lot of tear down what I already built and put something else in its place, basically. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know, and we'll see how it goes. For now, let's hop back over to the server, and take a look at what we've come up with so far. So let's come on over here. Oh, I have to restart? Okay, I'll be right back, guys, and I'll start it back up again. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. This is pretty much what I've come up with so far. So we've got... I started working on the walls over here, but I was trying to get a feel for where... the walls over there, I mean. I was trying to get a feel for where the build would go next. I didn't know how far to take this wall segment or any of that stuff. I think I've come up with a solution. So we're going to come up to this point and do one of the diagonal bits. And then we're going to go straight for a little bit. Have a tower, go straight a little bit more. Have another tower, go straight. Have another tower way there at the end. And then this, like, all of the section encompassed in here will be part of the build, basically. So all this grass on the outside would get stripped away. And while I was out here, I got visited by a couple different creepers, as you can see by these pretty new holes, actually. And I also brought my camera account on, trying to get, like, a better view of it from above. And while I was on my camera account, I was looking around, and then I noticed this thing creeping towards me, like the real me down here. I was like, oh great, it's a creeper. And I had that moment of, how fast can I switch to my other account to get my real self out of the way? Well, not very fast. Thankfully I did not die, but I did get creepered. It sounds like there's a cave down there. This here marks the edge of my base boundaries. Now, one of the mods had told us, like the people living on islands, that if you're on an island and there's a little bit of the island that is just outside your range, basically like this here, that you can still have it. you can still use it. I mean, who realistically is going to be around here to use it? Nobody. So it's okay if you go slightly outside just so you can include the entire island. So technically this whole island is mine. The circle of this pillar for my base encompasses part of that. My neighbor is right over there, Rector, and we'd agreed early on in the season that this island here, because that's a mushroom island and this is a swamp island, there's one tiny little spit that's both in the middle, and we agreed that we would just share it, like we would each have our own sides. And we at the time we thought about maybe setting up some sort of gate between our builds. Unfortunately, Rector hasn't been on recently, so none of that ever happened. So technically we could use some of that as well if we wanted to, in case he returns and continues building. But I do want to at least carry it on to here, because this is definitely, I mean, with that line, I've got probably, I think my line runs right through this water here, like maybe in that shallow bit there. So we can at least use all of this, and ultimately I would like to encompass as much of the space as possible, and then carry the wall over there, and then on the other side, if we can climb up over here real quick. Get stuck on the vines, of course. Now this hill's probably going to have to go. Parts of it might be okay, but I think it's generally... Well, I don't know. I mean, if we're at that elevation right there, I guess we are low enough. We can probably leave it just the way it is. So the wall will continue, wall and or towers, you know, whatever, will continue coming along over here. We'll probably have a tower somewhere in this vicinity, and then the wall will go back towards... Oops. We'll go back towards the main base, and then around the area where it gets close to that again, this section of the base is going to stop. So we've got the farming area over there. This is more like the residential area, and then I'm thinking over there maybe like a shopping or workplace type thing. I'm not 100% sure yet. I had it in my mind that there was something I wanted to build over there, and now I can't remember what it is. But that's the general idea. Now the problem here is that with the walls and the towers, it's not a super wide section of area, and I do want there to be streets and side streets and houses and stuff like that. So we need to make sure that there's enough room between that wall and the other wall for us to be able to achieve that and come up with a hopefully interesting design for the streets and whatnot. I still have to figure out exactly where the placement's going to go, of course. So the problem that we're going to run into, though, is, you know how we had the towers over there that they were too high? You had one wall segment and then another wall segment on top of that, and then the towers were just slightly taller than the wall segments. These towers we brought up to a third height, because I wanted this section of the base to be elevated. The problem is, does that mean we do 3 wall segments? I feel like that would be way too much. No matter what our wall segment looks like, I think 3 of it stacked on top of itself is too much. So my thought process is, what if we only did 2 segments, the lowest one, and then the middle-sized one at this level, and then so basically, so here we go. We've got this was actually 3 right there, because there'd be another one underneath here if it was on the outside. So right now it's way up there. If we left it at 2, it would be only here. The towers, maybe they go higher, maybe they don't, I'm not sure. But ultimately, the result would be, instead of being completely encompassed by these walls, what if it was more like a balcony? Like walking along the top right here, what if this is the actual walking level of the entire thing, and that there simply isn't any wall segment like this closing it in? I think I will probably end up going with that. That will allow us to have to maintain the existing 2 wall segments. One at the very lowest level with the water, and then one on top of that. And then the walking space for the entire thing will be at the top. I hear you down there. Oh, it's so cute! It's a baby drowned! Oh, they're so cute. Why do they have to be so hostile, though? I hear you googling. Where are you? So cute. There you are. Oh, you do not sound cute, but you look cute. Hi. Hello. Oh, he likes me. He really likes me. They are pretty hostile, though. They will still attack. Hi. Yep, yep. Whoa! No, no, no! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Hang on, guys. I want to try and catch this guy. Say hello to the camera! Say hi! Hi, Teapot! Hi! For those of you who watched my Realm of Vastin Dimensions series, early on the Vastin Dimensions portion of it, I had actually caught a baby drowned, and I think I'm pretty sure he had a trident too, which is a pretty rare spawn possibility. I think he did anyway. I know that he killed me. I didn't realize the baby drowns are not hostile during the day, but they are during the night. And my intention was to move him from one location to another, so I let him out. Didn't know that it was nighttime, didn't know that they get hostile at nighttime. I got killed. He took all of my gear and put it on. Of course, I had to, get it back. So I unfortunately lost that Teapot. This guy doesn't have a trident, but he's still adorably cute. So I'm gonna see if I can't keep him. You're gonna be one of the entities. I hope you know that. You're 1 out of 200 that I'm allowed to have, so you better be worth it. The problem is I don't know what to do with him because I don't want to just leave him there. If I pull him out here to take him up there, he's gonna burn up in the sun. If I do it at nighttime, he's gonna attack me, so either I'm gonna have to die a lot, or he's gonna end up dying to my thorns. He's already taken 1 bit of thorns damage. He's already fallen off of things at least twice, so he's got to be getting low on health. So I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that, I guess. But as far as the base is concerned, I have a lot of planning to do. And since this is, like I said, Sunday, and this episode isn't even going to release for me a whole week, I've got a long, boring stretch where I have to wait, because I don't want to go too far with this project without knowing whether or not we're going to swap out the lower level of the wall pattern that we've got going on. I'll probably just work more on building up the skeletal structure, like placing where the towers will be, where the walls will be, regardless of, whatever wall design we end up coming up with. I think placing where they will be at least located, I can at least do that much. I can work on this intersection here, try to build it up a little bit more between episodes. But yeah, let me know what you think. Should we try to break up the monotony a little bit with different wall design as opposed to the wood one that we've got going on right now? Just on the lower segments on the outside of the base. Like what should we do? Let me know your thoughts. I'll continue to mull it over. But until next time, I guess hope you have a fantastic time, and I will see you later. Bye!